So, dear participants, I will introduce my topic today. It's about corporate social responsibility, and I named this presentation as Engaging Stakeholders via Social Media, and I'm focusing on telecommunications sector. I'm not usually a person who extensively is focusing on CSR or business administration and etc. But I worked in telecommunications sector. I have very good connection to this sector. I'm experienced. And when I shifted to academic research, more or less, I still stayed in some topics related to telecommunications. So I wrote this paper together with my student. He's from Azerbaijan British College. And basically, I will deliver some basic information about what we did and what we achieved in this research. But the main research motivation actually comes from my previous publication related to this topic. My previous publication was a similar situation, similar topic in this field. It was published in 2025. This book in general focused on corporate social responsibility. And since that time, somehow I keep it in my main focus. So I learn about it, I study it, I try to write. And we all know that so SDGs are so important now. Everyone is talking about them. It's part of our life, it's the future. And we can see that interactive platforms, social media, especially information communication companies, they are part of this process beyond any imagination. So we can observe, as our previous presenters, they talked, we can observe much better activities in some companies and a little bit lower presence in some other companies. So we usually perceived telecommunications companies in Azerbaijan as leading companies when it comes to sustainable development and corporate social responsibility. It could be. Okay, so let's do something like this. So our topic collects data from social media, especially Facebook. We had some research questions here. I don't want to read all of them, but the main idea of all of these research questions goes to one very simple truth. What's going on? Are those telecommunication companies successful to engage their followers in social media to explain and inform about corporate social responsibility or sustainability and inclusiveness? Who are the main target audiences? What kind of strategies are used, and etc. So our paper will be much more detailed, of course. I kept this slide very, very simple. I will just show some maps. What are the main ideas? But we focus and use qualitative research design. We don't use any econometrics. We don't use any mathematical formulations. We use thematic analysis because we collect posts from Facebook platform. And Facebook is very important for telecommunication companies because Facebook is the main place where usually companies really speak up about their activities. It's very rich in content. We collected 200, 300 posts per year from each company, Azercell, Baxel, and NAR. And then we just used a typical qualitative research steps to analyze based on our research questions. So we tried to use stakeholder theory. Again, the previous presentation also mentioned it, or maybe it was you, that stakeholder theory and signaling theory can be used, the other. So these two theories are very popular theories to explain company behavior when it comes to specific issues like sustainability. So stakeholder theory is very rare to be applied in the Azerbaijani case. And again, my previous publication was one of the first topics, one of the first publications about it. And this one can be another trial. And we believe that we will enrich the existing literature by doing so. We're going to give you empirical details about what's going on in sustainability, and specifically, we'll talk about two important parts: gender equality gender equality, and environmental protection. So these two sustainability directions are much more visible in telecommunications sector. I don't know, like policy, society implications can be found. Telecommunications itself, again, has been rarely analyzed. And of course, in the future, we are aiming to deliver practical strategies and practical suggestions for these telecommunication companies to engage their stakeholders much better, much actively. Because sometimes they are doing it really good, sometimes they are doing it really bad. So this is the main interesting observation of us. So I'm sure you know what is social media. I know sure what is going on after the COVID, because digitalization increased. People are now more relied on digital tools and information channels. So we can observe it in the literature itself as well. So literature is now providing a lot of papers. Why actually digital platforms are important, why sustainability is important, why they are important together. So this is a very dynamic part of academic publications right now. If you open Google Scholar, you search for keywords, you're going to find a lot of works. Thanks to interactivity of the social media, now consumers and producers, in other words firms, are in a deep communication. So this is an opportunity. Sometimes Baxel publishes some post and people are writing really terrible things. So because they see it as a chance to communicate with the firm. Maybe they don't like some kind of new product or service and they will speak up. Sometimes the opposite might happen as well. Maybe they are really very satisfied with some kind of development and again they will speak up. So this is our main motivation. If this company is doing sustainability related activity, CSR activity or whatever, we think that first of all they will have a very specific target group, and secondly they will have some kind of engagement. In general, literature related to Azerbaijan is not very rich when it comes to telecommunication sector. Some of the authors talked about the role of public sector. Some of the authors talked about the importance of imports. I don't know, COVID was analyzed, innovation within state institutions, growth of e-commerce, stakeholder theory, a little bit. All of these directions exist, but very limited. So again, I think it's also a good research direction for young students like you in the future to focus on. This is a very interesting sector in Azerbaijani economy, by the way. Stakeholder theory itself for us was very useful because it gave us opportunity to define our variables of interest, to apply some kind of theoretical expectations, theoretical frameworks. This theory is very rich. It has been introduced in 1960s, 1970s, and since that time it's improving. In management sciences, it's a very dynamic field. Qualitative data analysis can be applied. This is just a map that is expressed by the help of text in our own paper. We talk about each of this part related to stakeholder theory in general, and then we introduce our own research methodology, but our own research current methodology is based on my previous publication. They use similar research design. What is it? So we believe that if an enterprise has its own strategy, if an enterprise has background values or certain behavioral habits, they will show it by their actions. They will translate it into communications. It can be maybe CSR activities, or it can be mainly stakeholder activities. It means CSR activities, again, I'm sure everybody knows more or less today what is it, corporate social responsibility. Stakeholder activities are a little bit bigger. It can be marketing campaigns, promotions, you saw it probably, games, like it's like if certain amount of people like the post, randomly someone will be selected. Such things also come to stakeholder theory, actually. The company is trying to build connection with specific groups of people. I'm not really defining stakeholder theory, but it is a theory that argues that a company must build a balanced and trustworthy relationships among every possible single group of interest in the society. So it's not about just profit earning company, it's about being responsible, taking care. Mostly it's applied for big companies because they have enough financial resources. So external, internal stakeholders exist. Again, we argue that social media will show if these companies are doing something or not. So in my previous publication, I was a single author and I coded these social media posts, qualitatively coded, and I combined them into specific themes. This study was much bigger. Themes are different here. It can be related to user engagement. It can be related to, I don't know, some kind of cultural, educational activities. So you can see many, many topics here, and the same logic exists in our recent paper as well. So we collected posts, Facebook posts, from 2017 and 2025. We stopped in 2025. Again, unfortunately, it's so difficult to collect such big amount of large qualitative data. It's usually about 200, 300 posts over a year, if we speak about period of time. And we can see that if you collect this data, you need to do certain actions. For example, you have to clean this data, you have to filter it, translate it maybe into English if your analysis really needs it, and we did it in English. Then we have to analyze it. It's called thematic mapping, interpret it. What does it mean? So you have to do this. It takes a lot of time. It's a disadvantage of qualitative methods, unlike econometrics or statistical analysis. And then you can generalize, make cross-sectional comparisons, and etc. So for our study, we had, for example, 535 posts for Azerbaijan. For Baxel, it was a little bit bigger, 612. For NAR, it was 411. So mainly, all of these posts delivered some kind of idea about CSR, sustainability, stakeholder engagement maybe. You can see average likes, averagely speaking, for example, 691 likes. I don't know what is the secret of NAR Mobile, but NAR Mobile usually really collects a lot of likes on Facebook. I don't know what's the reason for it. Some comments, again, usually the lowest comments go to Baxel. And average shares. People really don't share much. So the company can share its own sustainability campaign, but people really don't share it back. That's also interesting information. That's a signal that it must be somehow increased in the future. Qualitative coding, we labeled parts of specific text according to our research questions. We use both inductive, deductive coding. So the difference is in deductive coding, you don't have any already established, let's say, names. You create these names as you go. But we used both of them, both inductive and deductive, because of course, again, this is the second part of the larger study that I'm doing. We developed codebook. It explains every codes. We used some specific codes and then tried to see what's going on between these codes. It's not a code that you use in programming. It's just highlights. It's just texts. And thanks to software, we can analyze it. Semantic analysis is a very interesting field. I suggest to the students to study it. I think I conducted a research competition project where I also explained how to do it for our students. So using coding, searching for some themes, defining them, interpreting, I don't know, all of these steps have been followed in our research. It's a standard, typical thematic analysis. And we focus on 3 qualitative codes in our dataset: environmental protection, gender equality, and inclusiveness in general. So from this table, you can see that inclusiveness is the biggest code. Gender equality is kind of in the middle. Environmental protection, again, it's also kind of in the middle. Some of these companies are doing more, one of them, and less others. For example, gender equality is very important for Azerbaijan, but for NAR, it just has been communicated once. They don't really have such focus much. Environmental protection is similar situation. Baksel and Azerbaijan are better in this case. Inclusiveness in general, Azerbaijan is absolute leader. We have coded Azerbaijan's posts 180 times, so it's not a small number. So Azerbaijan's sustainability initiatives are many. They created specific places like EcoBox, recycling machines. You can give back bottles and receive free speech minutes. It's a good initiative. We have climate action projects inside Barama Center. We have social media engagement based on cooperation between state institutions. They have conferences and international commitments where they go, learn, come back with experience and apply it on local level. Baksel is similar, but the actions are different. For example, they actually physically go to some specific beach areas, they clean those areas, they call it Khazari Goriyakh campaign. Employee involvement, so they have tree plantings done by employees themselves in specific areas and green projects. And of course, they also participate in global movements, Plastic Free July or Earth Hour. These are very famous events on a global scale. NAR is also project-based company, but the richness is a little bit limited. What they are doing differently, they are cooperating with specific university, technical university, in order to apply certain environmental protection ideas, let's say. Some basic international focus also exists here. So globally responsible company, they call themselves like that, and also participate in the United Nations Global Compact Leaders Summit every year, if I'm not mistaken. So the second code was gender equality. Azerbaijan was very rich when it comes to gender equality. Our analysis shows that they had unbelievably many projects when it comes to gender equality. For example, white suits, goals, it's about for women and girls to protect themselves by the help of martial arts. I don't know, you can read a lot of things about helping them in entrepreneurship, in business, and etc. So we were able to find this specific groupings, families of topics. We were able to generalize them and understand what is the impact of these actions. For example, if we talk about like women helpline service, the last one, it was mainly about helping women psychologically, talking to them to decrease some risks to their life when they feel that they have some kind of problem. In the case of Baksel, it's much more limited. So they educated some specific women groups in digitalization related things, supporting women entrepreneurs by providing very cheap communications services. And in the case of NAR, it's very limited, but they were able to apply some artwork master classes, and they were able maybe to just assist or congratulate women during the 8th of March. The best one was Azerbaijan in this case, a little bit limited was NAR. And so in general, much bigger and larger scale is about inclusiveness in general. Azerbaijan helps to young students, for example, by organizing hackathons or incubation programs. They are very good at it. Also, they do cultural engagements. For example, they used to have, maybe even today, digital audiobook production and distribution, events and campaigns. It's good. It creates some kind of inclusiveness in general. Reading campaigns, they organized people in order to discuss books. So you can read you can observe a lot of such activities for education, internships, scholarships, for innovation, working with universities, Azerbaijan French University, ADA University. So from these Facebook posts, we were able to group these specific actions, directions related to other sales contributions. NAR is more or less similar. For example, free mobile minutes during COVID, humanitarian support, social inclusion. For example, we have a lot of marchers and veterans of war. They help them to increase their access to information communication technologies and services. So again, I don't want to bore you much. We were able to map all of this specific CSR and stakeholder activities by the help of this Facebook data we collected. Basically, 6,200 Facebook posts has been published by 3 mobile network operators between 2017 and 2025, and they extensively talked about it. They talked about it again. It was our job to find out who is, for example, better in gender equality, who is better in inclusiveness, and when we say better, what are specifics, the names. And it will allow for us in the future to come up with much more precise suggestions and policy implications. Azersel strategically communicates gender equality. Baxel and NAR use stereotypical approaches. Their efforts lack human capital development. Green growth commitment remains highly comparable. Green growth can be found in all of them. In Baxel and NAR, we have limited human capital actions, but still it exists. It doesn't mean they don't do it, but compared to Azersel, it's limited to some extent. I guess Azersel's resources are much more dedicated to sustainability, inclusiveness, and stuff. So our main objective was to examine how these companies promote actually sustainability and inclusiveness. So it's a qualitative research. A lot of details exist. So you have to follow these details by the help of well-structured narration. So in the slides, we just provide basic maps, names, codes, and directions. But we think that thanks to such analysis, and not only now, but in the future, it can be a valuable source for companies themselves to follow a balanced approach. If one company dedicates a lot of communication for, let's say, gender equality, but very little communication for green growth or, I don't know, environmental protection, this gap might be not good from the stakeholder theory perspective. It's not balanced. Imbalance exists, and it must be recovered. Customer feedback needs to be included into CSR practices. Again, limited, but still some people give their feedback. The presentation style of CSR content on social media should be refined to increase engagement. I showed you shares are very low. People read it, like it, maybe comment, but they don't really share. It's a very interesting field for us, how such content can be increased in terms of shares. Broad categories such as students or young people should be broken down into better manageable, targetable groups. Students, what kind of students? Freshman students or maybe high school students? So master students, maybe who? So we don't really see it in social media communication of these companies. Our sample, of course, excludes press releases and other media channels. It's a limitation of it. So the scope can be increased in the future, not only telecommunication companies, Baxel, Azersel, and NAR, but also additional players can be included. Thematic analysis is not really very useful for causal relationships. Thematic analysis shows you what's going on in general, the general picture. Again, unfortunately, we don't have enough experience to apply other methodologies, so we are still stuck on thematic analysis. In the future, it's possible. Social media lacks deep contextual information, so of course social media analysis is good, but it's the first step. Next, as I already suggested to other group, expert interviews, deeper analysis must be applied as well. And future research requires interviews and surveys. Yes, surveys could be really nice. It could be really nice to see how these companies and how the readers of these social media posts actually meet each other and understand each other. Is it really something that should be kept as it is or maybe improved? So that's it basically for my presentation. So I just provided basic findings of our research process, and we finished the manuscript, and we are planning to publish it as a part of the symposium's proceedings book. If you have any questions, I am ready to answer.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
First, thank you for this interesting original work. What draws my attention is the part how you analyze the obtained data from social media. Can you complete that part?
You mean this part?
No. So previous. No. A flowchart, how you analyze the textual data.
Flowchart, yes. Maybe this one, yes.
Yes. I would love to get actually the paper, probably for publication, and get your secrets on it.
So I can share with you my first publication, which is a book chapter. We have much more details related to this study as well. In this paper, we kept some details actually out of the research. We did it because first of all, we had a specific focus, gender equality, inclusiveness and stuff. In first of my publication, I showed you, I analyzed everything at the same time. Collection of the data happens thanks to a specific digital tool called Apify. Apify is a tool that you insert the link of the page, and it collects all posts from that page, Facebook post. And then we manually checked each post if it is about CSR or sustainability or something else. After we checked it, after we selected it, then we had smaller sample.
Isn't there any software to analyze that?
We use Quirkos. We use Quirkos because qualitative coding must be done mainly by the help of software. I didn't include it here, but yes, we use it.
This is how it analyzes the textual data when there are metaphors that do not convey direct meaning.
I see. So if possible, I will show it to you by the help of screenshot maybe from the Quirkos. So Quirkos. Let's see if we have some. Yes, so as you can see, I'm just giving you an example. When you have data, when you highlight this textual data, you're going to have a lot of codes. And after you code large qualitative data set, it can do many things. For example, it makes it numerical, first of all. You can exactly know how many times each code was used. Some codes will be used more, some codes will be used less, and it's already a finding. You can also find how this code, for example, delivery, was co-coded together with other code. Correlation of parts of texts. And you can group these codes into specific topics, and you can generalize them and understand correlation between two topics, not codes, topics. So everything can be done by the help of software like this. It's the most simple, it's a simple software. We have a lot of softwares, NVivo, Atlas TI. All of those stuff are useful to analyze textual data. But unfortunately, it requires a little bit time to learn.
Yeah, at the same time, in my opinion, it requires expert analysis afterwards, because it may provide wrong results.
Absolutely, yes. So when you code your text, when you find your topics, when you say something about it, it's not enough. Context must be provided. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No? Thank you very much.